Past 3 days, we are learning incredible stories of selflessness and courage in the aftermath of the Las Vegas shooting. One involves a Canadian woman whose life was saved by a Nevada man she had never met before. Well, they saw each other again yesterday for the first time since the attack. Adriana Diaz was there for the emotional reunion in her hospital room. Adriana is outside Valley Hospital Medical Center in Las Vegas with this story. Adriana, good morning.
Good morning. The last time Jan Lambart and Justin Uhart saw each other, Jan was being rushed into surgery. Justin had refused to leave her side after finding her wounded on the ground. Jan had been shot in the stomach, fracturing her pelvis. Neither can remember how much time they spent together, but they now say they're bonded for life. It's been 3 days since Justin Uhart has seen Jan Lamborn.
There she is. Hey, how you doing?
They were strangers before the concert,
I know.
where Jan says Justin saved her life.
Oh, it's good to see you.
On Sunday, Jan was in the
It's
crowd.
an instinct. I don't know. I put my hand on the wound and I started screaming, medic, medic.
He and other strangers carried her to a nearby field full of the injured.
She was terrified. I was just asking her the silliest questions of her cats, where she was from, Tell me about Canada.
You were trying to distract her?
Yeah, just she was in a lot of pain, and I said I won't leave her, and she's had a death grip. It's a desperate grip that I cannot describe. She was always saying, don't leave me, and I just promised I wouldn't leave.
He had stayed right from when he found me, right till I went into the operating room.
Do you remember holding his hand?
Yeah, I wasn't letting go any more than he was, I think, because, yeah, we were going to survive this, and we did. What was it like to see him? Relief that he was okay, too. It was a rough night, both of us. But if it wasn't for him, I would not be here.
This real-life hero just won $120,000 on Deal or No Deal. Justin Uhart was bartending in Las Vegas in 2017 when the mass shooting at a country music festival left 59 people dead. As he ran for his life, Justin found victim Jan Lamborn shot in the stomach.
When I was running, I saw her on the ground, like she needed help. There's no way I could have ran away.
His heroic actions are credited with saving her life. They reunited on CBS This Morning in 2017 as Jan was recovering in the hospital.
How you doing?
And Jan was there to surprise her hero on last night's Deal or No Deal.
Oh my God.
We spoke with her today.
I was just ecstatic. This is my hero.
He survived the Las Vegas mass shooting only to come face-to-face with another gunman in his own driveway. For the first time, we're seeing surveillance video of that terrifying encounter. NBC4's Tony Shin is live in Menifee now, where he spoke to the victim. Tony.
Yeah, talk about a frightening experience. Caroline, let me go ahead and show you and our viewers exactly what happened. The victim was parked here right in his driveway. He thought he was safe because he also has surveillance cameras above his garage. He now says, never let your guard down. It's about 10:15 at night, and a young man we're only identifying as Jacob for safety reasons is parked in his parents' driveway. Suddenly, a man walks behind his car. The man stops at a nearby mailbox and turns around. He then heads straight towards Jacob.
Someone knocks my window, so I just rolled down a little bit because I don't know who it is. He asked to use my phone.
Jacob is surprised and suspicious.
He said he needed to call his mom. He didn't have a phone. So I was thinking about it, I was a little hesitant.
He decides to get out of his car to let the man use his phone.
Just in case if he tries to run, then I could, chase him.
But the man suddenly pulls out a shotgun.
I see him start raising the gun. And then right once I see it, I smack the gun down really quick. And I'm like, what the are you doing?
Stunned, the man backs off for a moment as Jacob scrambles to get back into his car.
And he aims the gun back up at me again.
Fortunately, the armed man doesn't fire a shot and instead runs off. Jacob believes he got into this white car that drove by earlier and parked around the corner, just seconds before the confrontation.
I'm usually pretty prepared, and I'm usually always looking around, checking my surroundings and stuff like that.
Jacob says he's always been careful, and even more so after 2017, when he and his sister escaped the gunfire in the Las Vegas mass shooting. Jacob's mother can't believe his life was once again in danger.
And like every mother, that's our worst nightmare. We would never want anything to happen to our children.
Jacob says he learned that no matter where you are, you have to be ready for the unthinkable, even in your own driveway.
You can never be too cautious. You can never be too safe.
The brother of the Las Vegas shooter, Stephen Paddock, spoke to reporters just moments ago in Orlando. A word of caution. We understand there is some adult language being used here. Let's listen in.
Someone texted me. First thing is thank you, whoever texted me about truck. Someone texted me, I don't know who, Reuters or somebody texted me, thank you, with an update that I didn't have because I took my mom to the doctor.
How's your mom
Supposedly, I'm sorry?
How's your mom doing?
She's okay. I mean, do you want that kind of background real quick about my mom? I mean, my mom was born in the Depression. She's had a tough life. Her husband was a total He ran off, left her with 4 kids. She raised 4 kids on a secretary salary. in the 60s and 70s, and some of us weren't real good kids. I mean, you guys are probably going to investigate me. I wasn't a wonderful human being when I was a kid. We were bad kids. Okay, that's at some level, we were troublesome kids. We grew up poor on the side of the freeway in the San Fernando Valley in California. I don't want to go too much into this, but it's how we were formed. We're just people. My mom has had a tough life, and here's where it goes in, where it branches into Steve, the Steve that we knew. Steve made my mom wealthy. He's the one. He's the reason why he's not the only reason she did this herself. A lot of it, okay. But he helped make her retirement very comfortable. He's the reason she's very, very comfortable right now. She wouldn't have been as comfortable because you don't make much money as a secretary in the 70s, raising 4 kids. Okay, Steve is the reason that she has substantial funds right now and is comfortable. That's the Steve I know. Okay. Now the other thing is someone said that Steve transferred $100,000. Woo, $100,000. We're wealthy people. $100,000 isn't that much money. And I'm sorry if that hurts people or something, but $100,000 isn't that huge amount of money. He gambled that much through a machine in hours. I mean, once again, you need to understand. That's what people need to understand, the level where some people live. I guess everybody thinks that everybody works at Taco Bell or something. Everybody doesn't work at Taco Bell. There's wealthy people who do this. If you're going to condemn Steve for being a high-stakes gambler, the hotels are not going to be very happy with you. Go find everybody and interview them who has a card. If you're going to call Steve crazy for gambling the way he gambles, go find everybody at the hotels who have the hotels tell you everybody who's got a gold. He's got the highest level of membership card at a lot of these hotels. Him getting on a plane and flying somewhere is like you going to Publix. I mean, it's something he just does every week.
You use the phrase evil genius. Do you think that he was?
I'm sorry. I mean, that's the thing I shouldn't have said. But that's what people are. I mean, that he's this. But he's a highly intelligent. There's absolutely no. And this is the other part that I want to stress with this. I get to partake of a bunch of thousands of dollars of comps on the hotel, but Steve would say, "Oh, can you go get me a sandwich?" Well, of course, I knew. I mean, someone might not understand that. That's the cost of being with Steve. Is that you would go get him a sandwich if you needed a sandwich, because Steve didn't want to. This nonsense about how did he get the guns into the. You take $100 bill and you hand. Oh, I'm sorry. You take $100 bill and you hand it to the bell cap and they go, "Oh, Mr. Pat, I'll go. Hi. Oh, you got a couple bags today? Okay, we'll take those up." I mean, because Steve was just. Steve's dead. You can't say anything bad about him anymore because who cares? Say whatever you want about him. It's not going to hurt me. It's not. Steve didn't love the casino. The casino was a means to an end. The casino to him was like a job. It was like a job at Toyota in Japan, where you live in the Toyota apartments across the street, and then you go to the Toyota factory to work. I worked for it a lot. I mean, go find my history. I worked 1 billion hours and was not home with my family and et cetera, et cetera. But I'm not guilty for being successful. No, but for all the rest of the people, once again, please.
Say the families of the victims who are trying to understand, to get insight.
Think about Steve. However you have to think about Steve. Here's my statement. If we have to have a funeral for Steve, here's how pragmatic. This is how pragmatic I am. If having a funeral for Steve and letting all these people come and spit on his grave will make them feel better in any way, shape, or form. I mean, Steve's this big, she's this tiny thing. He loved her. I mean, he doted on her. I mean, it's like I said. But you're not gonna. Maybe she has pictures of this. Maybe her side of the family or the kids took pictures of this. But you don't. Once again.
We're getting our first reaction from the family of the Las Vegas shooter. This is the brother of the Las Vegas shooter, who clearly is still processing the actions of his brother, he was behind the worst shooting in recent U.S. history. We are learning that, according to the brother, he was highly intelligent, highly successful, and very generous to his friends and family, and that he came from a family of 4. His mother was a secretary, and his father had left the kids alone.
This is like it was done, like he shot us. I mean, if he'd have killed my kids, I couldn't be more dumbfounded. I mean, it doesn't.
So
there's nothing.
Last communication.
There's nothing.
After the
I can show you the text. He said, "How's mom? Did you get power?" That was it.
One of Stephen Paddock's brothers says he lost a significant amount of his wealth in the days before the shooting.
History's Nathan O'Neill with what else his brother is revealing.
Well, the last time Bruce Paddock spoke to his brother Stephen was about a decade ago. He wishes they had stayed in better touch, and maybe he could have helped prevent the massacre.
It was always Steve. Didn't care about anybody else.
Bruce Paddock says he spoke to his brother about 10 years back when Bruce, who is estranged from his family, called his mother.
She called him and he called me, and we talked for about 10 minutes.
He says the conversation did not go well.
I'd had just about as much of his as I could listen to, and that was it. Talking about him flying his airplanes to Vegas and gallivanting.
He didn't hear about Stephen again until he saw his brother's face on television. This surveillance video shows Stephen Paddock walking suitcase after suitcase into Mandalay Bay, building up an arsenal in his Las Vegas hotel room to kill 58 people and injure hundreds more.
I called my mom, and my mom answered the phone, and I said, "Is that Steve?" And she said, "I guess so."
Bruce remembers the brother who made millions in real estate ventures.
The loss of the ability to control everything because he was always the controlling brother.
The brother responsible for the largest mass shooting in modern U.S. history.
I don't know how to say I'm sorry enough for what's happened.
And Bruce Paddock faces his own legal problems, charged with the possession of child porn, charged with the possession of child porn. Bruce denies those claims and is headed to trial within the next few weeks.
Stephen Paddock's brother, Bruce, has a history of strange behavior and violence in California. About 3 years ago, Bruce was accused of threatening to kill his friend Hector Cruz. Cruz says that he was helping fix Bruce's car when Bruce became paranoid. Cruz claims Bruce set up homemade cameras in the shop to watch the employees and record their conversations from his home computer. And not only that, he says Bruce would hide in the shop's attic to spy on people.
So he was living up in there, and this was all enclosed, so you guys couldn't get to him. If he needed to get out, all he had to do was go up.
Go up there, or wait until we were leaving, and he will
come down.
Come down.
So he would hide out up in there while you guys were down
The
there
whole
working.
day, the whole day.
And there was no way to get him out.
No way.
Because the cops would come, and his address would show that this was his address.
Right.
Well, Cruz went on to say that Bruce threatened to burn the shop down one time when he actually took gasoline up on the roof. Well, Cruz was eventually did get a restraining order against Bruce, but filled us in on those details. Wow.
How strange.
I'm a very straightforward guy. You know that. If he'd have told me that I just needed to come pick up the ashes, I would have just come and picked up the ashes. I'd still be scratching my head why it cost me $1,500 that I had to fly out of here instead of $157 to ship them in the U.S. mail. And again, what did I do when I found out that the coroner was not executing? I got on a plane and came here and did the job. That's what I do. Okay? This was a no-brainer. I could have done this the day the ashes were created. I could have done this. I don't understand why he wanted to play games. I mean, this is a thing that has to be done when someone dies. That's all this is. And if it had just been handled that way, it would have been and done a month ago. So again, this is just silliness.
Incredibly high here at House of Oliver as people have been coming by all day long to drop off flowers, balloons, hang up ribbons, and just share their stories of how Vida has touched their lives.
It's true what they say. The moment we met Vida, she was instantly family.
About those working in restaurants.
And she was one of those that helped make House of Oliver, and more than just a restaurant, but a community and a family.
As shattered glass and bullet holes remain outside of House of Oliver, where a 51-year-old server, Vida Joga, was shot and killed Monday. It wasn't enough for her friend, Lisa Fine-Cavelli, who knew Vida long before she started working here 7 years ago. This hits much too close to home.
When I survived the Vegas shooting, she was comforting me for years. And for her to be gunned down, there are no words. I can't believe she's gone.
She says even though bullets were 6 inches from her head in Las Vegas 4 years ago, attending a country music festival, this feels worse.
To have one of my close friends be gunned down for nothing because of a domestic problem, it's just unheard of. I can't believe somebody would take her life.
It's like an asteroid fell out of the sky. We have no... He hasn't... I'll go through the... now it's... Last time I talked to him was he texted me to ask how my mom was after we didn't have power for 5 days in the neighborhood. He talked to her on the phone a week or two ago, and then sent her a walker because she's having trouble walking. And I don't want to talk much more. This is all, once again, what I'm telling you is all part of the record. He has no police record. He doesn't even have parking tickets probably.